Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the rich doctor versus the poor doctor, right? What are rich doctors doing differently? And I want to start off by telling you two stories. And if you can relate to someone in, each story, let me know in the comments. But um, I think a lot of you will probably be able to relate to one or the other. Now, the first story is about a doctor who goes and works their W-2 job, gets an income, uses the income to buy the big doctor home on the golf course, the luxury car that can fit four kids, and also spends on these, luxury vacations that they weren't able to do for the longest time, right? So why would you not do it at this point, right? So they go on doing that. Now, there's also a second doctor, right? This doctor also works a W-2 job, gets their income from medicine, and uses it to invest in assets, right? An asset is something that puts money in your pocket today, right? So this doctor takes that money and she uses it to buy real estate, right? And as she's doing this, right, she does this for a few years. As she's doing it, she's able to shelter the majority of her W-2 income from taxes. She's able to, in a few years, generate six figures of tax-free income from her rental real estate portfolio, right? So now she has tax-free income from the real estate portfolio. She's able to, because she invests in real estate, shelter the majority of her W-2 income from taxes. And then because of this, at the age of 41, she's able to quit her full-time job. She's able, now she has, because she has time freedom, and now she has time freedom, she has geographic freedom. She starts traveling extensively with her extended family, takes everyone on these, luxury vacations to exotic destinations. She has time on her hands now. She's able to spend a ton of time with her kids, but she's also able to build a community where she's able to impact more thousands, tens of thousands of physician families and help others do the same thing. She's also able to start a nonprofit where she's able to help kids in rural India uh, with their healthcare and education needs. And so that was a giveaway. So if you, you probably know who I'm talking about at this point. But let's go back to that first doctor, right? The first doctor is still, trading her time for money. She's at this point, probably like 10 years out of training, burnt out. Sometimes I've heard stories where they're living paycheck to paycheck. This doctor doesn't feel as motivated to go in every day because she wants to spend more time with her kids. But because she's using her income to, you know, pay for her expenses, pay for that home, that car, those vacations, she knows that if she wants to live that lifestyle, she has to work another 20 years. She has to work 40 hours a week for another 20 years. And by then her kids are going to be out of the home, right? But that's when she's going to be able to get to financial freedom. So if you probably figured it out at this point, these stories are both, actually, they're both stories of me, right? Story two is the life that I'm living today. Story one is what would have happened if I'd continued down that path, right? 10 years out of training, I had a rough career transition and I had to pivot. I say, if you don't crash and burn, sometimes you just cruise control. You're just doing what you're doing, right? And I would have if I hadn't crashed and burned. I had a rough career transition. The pandemic hit. I was burnt out, and I pivoted. And today, I'm at the point where I have 300 million in assets under management as far as my real estate portfolio goes. And I've built a community with where we're 20,000 physicians strong, and we're helping each other do the same thing. I have the nonprofit, so completely different lives, right? And I know that it's a story of the rich doctor versus the poor doctor, because now, knowing everything that I know, I see both of these storylines play out over and over again. I go to India, I talk to my physician friends there, same story, right? A lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of them want to cut back, but there is no way for them to stop. I talk to my physician friends over here, same story. A lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck. They will not be able to maintain the same lifestyle unless they work for the next 20 years, right? And these are physicians in their 40s, people who've worked really hard to get to where they are, and who, they're at least a decade out of training, and a lot of them do not want to continue at the same pace, but they have no option, right? And so what I want you to see is what is possible, right? The ability to actually shift that story. There's a second story that I want you to recognize that's out there. So let's go ahead and just to really hone in on this concept, I wanted to show you this chart over here. This is from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It talks about these two separate stories, right? Two very, very different stories. The first one, the first graph over here, right? This is for the physician who's in a job, right? Makes an income, a W-2, even for those who are self-employed, right? Has W-2 earned income, W-2 or 1099 income. The income then is used to take care of all of their liabilities. A liability is something that isn't putting money in your pocket today. That is your doctor home, that is your car, that is your, your student loans, your credit card debt. That's what you use to pay for those expensive vacations. And then before you can take any of that capital to do something with, you have to pay tons of taxes, especially if you're W-2 earners. I feel your pain. You pay tons of taxes on all of that earned income before you can take any of it to save and invest, right? And this here is the graph of that second doctor, right? Who has built their assets. And, when we talk about assets over here, this is where you're talking about, your real estate portfolio. And this real estate portfolio, and for some of you, obviously you're going to have some stocks and bonds over here, but these are your assets that are putting, and, for stocks and bonds, you only have 3% safe withdrawal, which means at any given point, even after retirement, when you have 2.5 to 4 million in your retirement portfolio, you can only withdraw 3 to 4% from it and live off of it. And you have to pay taxes on that as opposed to real estate. But this is where your assets, when you've built like a significant real estate portfolio, you have significant passive income that's hitting tax-free passive income that is hitting your bank account today that allows you to then go ahead and, this is your passive income from real estate and your dividends and your interest income, right? This is all of that passive income that's hitting you. If you've built this to the point where, and dividend income, interest income, you're getting taxed on that. And you're probably getting anywhere from 3 to 5%, 3 to 7% in retirement. Again, it's still 3 to 4% of your entire portfolio. That's all you can safely withdraw to live off of it for 50 years, unlike real estate, where your passive income can become significant and dramatic much faster. But now you have this income, and then you're using this income, right? Which in the case of real estate is tax-free because of depreciation. You're using that to then fuel your liabilities. And if you have that income, that is tax-free income, so you're not paying taxes on it. So this is what the rich doctor is doing to get richer. And what I want for you to start thinking about this differently, to get those mindset shifts where you're shifting from the story of Doctor 1 to the story of Doctor 2. And if you haven't taken a look at my free ebook, which is a great resource where I share how I did this within a few years, in a few short years, but how I was able to, I give you 2 case studies with actual numbers of properties that I invested in different strategies, right? And as I kept learning, my strategies kept getting better. But with one of those properties, I was able to shelter $250,000 of my clinical income with just one property from taxes. And I was also able to generate 6 figures in passive income from my real estate portfolio in a few years. That ebook is like super powerful, actual strategies, case studies for you to take a look at how you can really shift from story 1 to story 2. So if you want access to it, in the comments, please type ebook and we will DM it to you. But again, this is what the rich doctors are doing differently. And if nobody has told you before, you now know what they're doing differently. So I want you to really think about shifting from story 1 to story 2. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And then if you're looking for that ebook, type ebook in the comments, guys.